Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Remember that one of the famous, statements from the Christian scripture, Bible: "Ask and you'll be given." Well, it seems like Zelensky is doing just that. He's asking, and he will be given. The problem is he's not receiving it from God, it receives it from us. And that means less for us, more for him. He's telling his sponsors, supporters, masters, what exactly he needs, which is a good thing. You always want to know, be to the point. So, don't beat around the bushes. In this case, he tells us how many tanks he needs. Okay, first, he shouldn't have had any, according to some, and that's how should I put it? That's like a gift. You give someone a gift that you did not have to give that person that gift, but now he tells that you should have given him five, not instead of one. I mean, how would you consider that? Would you give that person anything again? I wouldn't. But anyway, he can do that because they are in charge, and he's just a trumpet. I'm talking about Zelensky. So this article comes from Ukrainska Ukrainet Day org, but it's the one I got it from Ukrinform. Anyway, it's obviously a Ukrainian site, and this is from January 27, 2023. Zelensky says the Ukraine needs 300 to 500 tanks now. Tomorrow he's going to need 1,000, and the next day is going to be 15 billion. And this guy right here looks just like me. Remember my thumbnails with my face and my chair? All right, Zelensky. I'm going to ask you for copyright pay here. Anyway, this article comes from the 27th of January 2023. The Ukrainian army needs from 300 to 500 tanks to carry out a counteroffensive against Russian troops. I read that actually the tanks will not arrive on time for the Ukrainians to conduct a counteroffensive. So they either postpone the counteroffensive or don't conduct it because the Russians seem to conduct it first, or I don't know. Maybe they will not need those tanks anymore if the Russian offensive will be successful, if you know what I mean. And I'm quoting Zelensky here. We need 300 or 500 tanks now. How about 400? No. So why do you need 3 or 500? Maybe he likes odd numbers. I mean odd numbers. 3, 5, maybe next one is 700. That's why I believe that we need tanks to carry out an offensive on our territory, on our land. We need armored vehicles to protect our people. That's all. Okay, buddy, you got it. It's nothing. That's nothing. That's all, man. Just give me about 500 tanks. How much money is that? That's all I want. I just want half of your country. That's all. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky told Sky News in an interview, "Do you see how this guy is treating us?" It's not him. It is our elected officials who are hired by us, by our votes, to do whatever is necessary to make our lives better. This guy is asking for 302 or 500 or 300 or 500 tanks. That's all. Do you hear how this guy is looking at 500 tanks? Do you know how much money is 500 tanks? Do you know how much money is to invest? You know how much profit some companies made? And those companies that are private. It was the American Industrial Complex. It was probably the Defense Department of US who ordered those tanks. And they get the money from our taxes. So we give the state, we have to, otherwise they're going to check for us and they're going to throw us in jail if we don't pay the taxes. So there you have it. You have to. They take our taxes, we give it to them. You know how that is. Just don't pay your taxes and see what happens. So obviously, you can't really do that. If you work, if you don't work, you get some other people's taxes. Good for you, right? That's how the world works here, at least. You don't work, you get some programs, some social programs by some people, because we are in need and we need help forever. And then I get the money that someone else is making and pays taxes. So you pay the taxes goes to these guys that are supposed to manage your money, your taxes in your name, which is the elected officials, not your leaders, and they will provide, or they vote a little defense budget of this year. I think it's $840 billion. And then you have the generals, who some of them sat or will sit on the board of these private military companies, like for instance Lloyd Austin, the current general, the whatever he is, chief of whatever armed forces of United States of America. He, prior to this, he was in the board of directors, I think, of Raytheon. Not the biggest, I think the second biggest company of arms in the United States of America. And then he became in politics right there. Do you think he's gonna look at his... no, I'm pretty sure he's just like that. Anyway, so then these guys are gonna contract these people, contact and contract the companies. They will order weapons. These guys are gonna make a profit on my taxes, right? Because they're gonna sell whatever these guys ordered in the defense department, and the defense department, with the politicians we voted for that took our taxes, they will give these tanks that we paid for to Ukraine. And Ukraine, this weasel, tells us that that's all, about 500 of your 500 tanks of your taxed money. How do you like that? I personally don't like it one bit. I hope you don't like it either, my friends. But what can we do? At least we can talk about it, still can talk about it. He noted that due to a long time of delivery of Western weapons, he feels relieved only when the weapons provided to Ukraine by its partners, we are his partners, are already being used by the Ukrainian military on the battlefield. I'm not convinced that it's going to be used by Ukrainian military. You can write thousands of articles claiming that the Ukrainians are trained on the American tanks and British tanks and whatever tanks in other countries. I have big reservations regarding believing that. But hey, that's me. I'm like that. Until I, why? Because these guys who supposedly inform me about this, they up so many times that they have no credibility. So, you get the information, you try to verify it, could be true, could not be true, you have reservations, and then you wait. And after some years, you got a person who's going to get deeper into the issue. After 20 years, after the war, 5 years, whenever he's allowed to, he's going to come with a study, with a book, and he's going to say, hey, this is what I found. I found this, that actually, they were not trained over there. I found actually that there were these people on this kind of tanks. And then what? What are you going to do then? Nothing. You paid your money, they lie to you, and you live your life in the free world. Yeah, free. All right, so let's get going here. And I'm quoting, sometimes the delivery of the weapons takes months. You understand? No. I don't blame anyone. You shouldn't. You're not in a position to blame anybody but yourself. But in response to your question, a sense of relief comes only after the weapons which our partners give us are already being used by our army. The president added, I don't blame anyone. You are not in a position to blame anyone. You're just a beggar in a position to fulfill some other people's bidding. What are you talking about? You should just shut up and do what you're told. You can't blame anybody. You can play the blame game, which you've been playing with Germany, still blaming them for last century's whatever. As reported, the decision to provide Ukraine with German tanks was approved at a meeting of the government of Germany on the morning of January 25. Later, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius said on the sidelines of the Bundestag after a Defense Committee meeting that Leopard 2 tanks from Germany could be delivered to Ukraine in about 3 months. By then, the Russians could be in Singapore. going across the Atlantic and then Pacific. Earlier, the British government approved a decision to provide Ukraine with a tank company of Challenger 2 main tanks, battle tanks, 4 immediately, and 8 a little later. Alligator. A little later, crocodile. US President Joe Biden officially announced the delivery of 31 American-made M1 Abrams tanks as well as other military equipment. All right, so we have it, and do you feel relieved that Zelensky is not going to blame anybody at this time? But he needs between 300 and 500 tanks, or 300 or 500, however we want to put it, today, now. So remember, this is now. Tomorrow is going to be another, and the next day is going to be another request, demand, and he's not going to blame anybody. Just send it to him. That word now is very concerning. This reminds me again of that Aristotelian story. Aristotle went, to borrow the goat from his neighbor. Neighbor gave the goat to Aristotle for some time for milk, and Aristotle said, "I will give it to you back." Yeah. But when after a month he didn't bring it back, the neighbor, "Hey Aristotle, where is my goat?" And Aristotle said, "Yeah, it's right here, doing just fine." Well, the neighbor said, "You said you're going to give it to me back." And Aristotle responded, "Yes, I told you I will give it to you back, but I didn't say when." So same here. He needs the tanks now. That's very important, because tomorrow it's a different story. We start from zero. Hey, what did you do for me today? Remember that little story? Can keep you here with these kind of stories. That's a kind of story. Yes, you helped me yesterday. Yes, you helped me the day before. But what did you do for me today? Like you have today to do something for these guys all the time. Yes, you have. Because he's not going to blame you if you do that. How low we have to accept to be treated by these guys. These guys are our employees, our elected officials. Can you imagine? Free world, my ass. Anyway, disappointed? Yes, disappointed. But what can you do? Help change it, make it better. I hope you do, because I'm trying. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.